Welcome back, coin friends, collectors, and curious minds to the channel. Today, we're exploring a delightful piece of Australian numismatic history that many of you have asked about: the 2004 Australian 10-cent coin in very fine condition and what it's actually worth in today's market. Let's take a journey back in time to understand where this humble yet fascinating coin comes from, what makes it special, and why collectors all over the world still keep a keen eye out for it. The Australian 10-cent coin has been in circulation since decimalisation in 1966, when the Australian dollar was introduced, replacing the old shilling. Over the decades, it has become one of the most iconic small-denomination coins in the country, prized not just for everyday commerce, but for its rich design and long history. The 2004 issue features the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, capturing a moment in the nation's history with grace and style. The reverse proudly displays the superb lyrebird, a superb native species known for its incredible song, a design that many collectors admire for its beauty and simplicity. When we talk about the condition of a coin, especially something like very fine, we are referring to a collectible state where the wear is present, but all the major details of the design are still sharply visible. In very fine condition, the 2004 Australian 10-cent coin shows pleasing surface detail on both the Queen's portrait and the lyrebird, without the deep abrasions or damage you might see on everyday change. Coins in this grade are often held by collectors who appreciate the story and aesthetic of coins that have lived a bit of life but still retain their charm. So let's look at the physical characteristics of this piece. The 10-cent coin is round in shape, struck from a copper-nickel alloy, giving it a strong, lasting finish that resists corrosion and wear. It weighs a little over 5.5 grams and measures roughly 23.5 to 23.6 millimeters across, with a finely milled edge that gives it that satisfying feel in your hand. Now, many people wonder whether this coin is rare or just special. The 2004 Australian 10-cent was produced in healthy numbers around coins were struck, so it isn't rare in the strictest sense, especially in everyday circulated condition. But there's something genuinely delightful about finding a crisp, well-preserved one today, over 2 decades after it was first minted. What keeps the collector demand lively for coins like this is not just the date itself, but how coins age over time, and how many survive in collectible condition. Coins that are still in solid shape and show minimal wear appeal to both beginners and seasoned collectors alike, because they represent a piece of Australian monetary history that you can hold, study, and enjoy in your own collection. There is an active collector community around modern decimal coins, with many enthusiasts seeking to complete sets of every date and every grade, including very fine, extremely fine, and uncirculated examples. So let's talk about the current market value, because everyone wants to know what their coins are worth in dollars. In everyday circulated condition, a 2004 Australian 10-cent coin is generally only worth a small premium or close to its. Most listings online show it trading for roughly a few dollars in circulated form. For coins in the very fine grade, you might see values around the $140,000 to $160,000 or a bit more depending on the buyer and platform. Coins in uncirculated or mint state can fetch slightly higher prices, often nearing $1 or more in some markets, especially if they're clean and attractive. But keep in mind that there isn't a huge rarity premium on this date unless you come across a special error or unique variety, and those are entirely separate topics that we'll explore in future videos. Now for the tips every collector should know. Firstly, always handle coins carefully. Oils from your fingers can actually degrade surfaces over time, so holding coins by the edges or using cotton gloves is a great habit. Secondly, familiarize yourself with grading terms and standards so you can confidently assess condition and value at a glance. Thirdly, whether you're collecting for fun or investment, do your research before buying or selling. Look at recent completed listings on trusted auction sites, speak to fellow collectors, and learn what subtle features like minimal wear, luster, and strike quality can really make a difference in value. Finally, build your collection with pride and patience. The best part of coin collecting is the joy of discovery and the stories each piece carries. A 2004 Australian 10-cent coin in very fine condition is a lovely piece to have. It's a snapshot of time, art, and craftsmanship that connects us to history every time we hold it. In conclusion, the Australian 2004 Australian 10-cent coin in very fine condition may not be the most earth-shattering rarity, but it's certainly a coin worth celebrating. It carries history, design beauty, and collector appeal. Its market value reflects both its collectability and its widespread availability. And with the right care and knowledge, it can be a meaningful part of any collection. Keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep enjoying the rich world of coin collecting. Next up, today we're diving into something that every coin lover absolutely adores. We're talking about a fascinating little treasure from Australia, the 2005 Australian 10-cent coin. You might think of a 10-cent piece as everyday loose change, but stick around because there's much more to this coin than meets the eye. Let's start with a bit of history and context. The Australian 10-cent coin has been a beloved part of the nation's decimal currency system since 1966, when Australia moved away from the old pounds and shillings and introduced the dollar. From the very beginning, this coin has featured a beautifully detailed lyrebird on the reverse, a design created by acclaimed artist Stuart Devlin, symbolizing Australia's rich natural heritage. The obverse features the late Queen Elizabeth II, capturing a piece of history every time you hold it in your hand. The 2005 edition continues this legacy, and although it's a modern coin, it's already collected and cherished by many enthusiasts around the world. Now let's talk about what this coin is physically, like the way it's shaped, the metals it's made of, and why that matters. This 10-cent piece is a classic round coin, milled on the edge, with a diameter that makes it easily recognizable in your pocket or coin jar. It's made from a sturdy cupro-nickel alloy, which combines copper and nickel to give it a beautiful silver hue and long-lasting finish. Weighing around and measuring this coin is practical for everyday use, but also robust enough to survive decades of handling without significant wear. Even though the 2005 Australian 10-cent piece was minted in fairly large numbers, over 116 million of them, and is considered common in the general sense, many collectors still find it exciting. That's because coins can vary dramatically in value depending on condition and any unusual characteristics they might have. A coin that looks brand new, almost as if it just came from the mint, what collectors call uncirculated condition, is always more appealing than one that's been rolled around in pockets for years. So what does that mean for collector demand? Well, ordinary circulated examples of this 2005 Australian 10-cent coin usually sell for just a little above there when listed online. Many change hands for roughly a couple $1, $20,000 of $1, $40,000 if they're in great shape. That's because most specimens out in the world are well worn from everyday use. But here's where things get really interesting. Not all 2005 coins are created equal. Some rare error coins and unusual varieties can be highly sought after by collectors. For instance, there are examples where misprints or minting errors, like off-center strikes or coins struck on the wrong planche, can significantly boost interest. In fact, certain error variants from other years have been known to fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars from the right buyers. While these are exceptionally rare and depend on the nature of the error, they certainly elevate the excitement around a seemingly ordinary coin. That brings us to probably the most important part for many of you: current market value in US dollars. For the standard 2005 Australian 10-cent coin in circulated condition, prices on collector marketplaces generally range from about 30 cents to around $1.60 on $1.70, zero depending on condition and demand. If the coin is uncirculated or in mint condition, you might see slightly higher figures, because those are the ones collectors often prefer. Now, if you happen to find a truly rare mint error or a double lyrebird variety, nice, those exceptional coins can bring far more, sometimes into the high hundreds, or potentially thousands in very unique cases, especially if certified by a reputable grading service. But keep in mind that those are outliers and not the ordinary rule. Yahoo Finance. And that leads nicely into my tips for collectors who are just getting started or who want to improve their current collection. First, always check the condition and finish of every coin you have. Coins that are crisp, with minimal wear and full detail on both the lyrebird and the queen's effigy are more desirable. Second, Don't overlook coins with unusual features or slight anomalies. Tiny differences can sometimes make a big difference in value. Third, it's well worth getting potentially valuable coins professionally graded because collectors and auction houses trust those certifications when making high-end purchases. Finally, be patient and enjoy the hunt. Part of the joy in coin collecting is discovering stories and value where others might not immediately see it. As we wrap up, here's the big takeaway. The 2005 Australian 10-cent coin may look simple at first glance, but it carries a rich design, a strong place in Australian currency history, and the potential to be part of something much bigger in a collector's world. Whether you're just curious, starting your collection, or hunting for rare varieties, this coin proves that even small change can hold exciting possibilities. Next up, today we're diving into the fascinating world of Australian numismatics, shining a spotlight on a coin that many of you may have in your pocket right now, the Australia 2007 Australian 10-cent coin. While it's a humble piece of change at first glance, this small circular marvel carries a story that's as rich and interesting as the nation it comes from. Let's start from the beginning with a little history. The Australian 10-cent coin was introduced way back in 1966, when Australia switched to a decimal currency system. Since then, the design both on the face and on the back has become iconic and instantly recognizable. The obverse features the elegant portrait of Queen Elizabeth II wearing a splendid tiara, while the reverse showcases the native lyrebird, beautifully captured with its dramatic tail feathers spread out in all their glory. This design has been beloved by both everyday Australians and coin enthusiasts around the world for decades. The 2007 edition continued this proud tradition, with a total of just over 61 million pieces struck at the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra, Australia making it a very scarce coin in collector terms when compared to some other years. Now let's talk about the physical presence of this 10-cent coin, because even the smallest details matter when you're collecting. The coin is a classic round shape, with a reeded edge that catches the light just right. It's made from a copper-nickel blend, a durable composition that's kept these coins in surprisingly good condition, even after years in circulation. On average, it weighs about 5.66 grams with a diameter of 23.6 millimeters. Its size and metal composition give it a satisfying heft in the hand, and you can see why collectors admire its look and longevity. Condition plays a huge role in the world of coins, and that's especially true for the 2007 Australian 10-cent piece. A coin in very fine condition is one that shows light wear but still has most of its original detail and luster. Collectors put a lot of emphasis on this because the better the condition, the more attractive the coin becomes to a broader range of enthusiasts. Coins that have never circulated, often referred to as uncirculated, are even more sought after because they retain that mint-fresh appearance that's so appealing. Now you might be wondering, is this coin rare? Well, in the grand scheme of Australian decimal coins, the 2007 Australian 10-cent isn't among the most dramatically rare issues, but it is considered a very scarce year compared to some other dates, especially when evaluating it by collector standards. That combination of modest mintage and continued interest from collectors keeps this coin firmly on the radar of anyone serious about building a balanced and diverse collection. So what about collector demand and current market value? Here's where things get really interesting. Most 2007 Australian 10-cent coins that you'll find in average circulated condition tend to be traded around a few dollars on various online marketplaces like eBay. Listings for circulated examples often show prices around $2.10, $0 to $2.40, 0 AUD, and even uncirculated versions are commonly around that range, or just a bit higher, which translates roughly to a few dollars in US dollars as well. These numbers might seem modest. What's fun to remember is that every coin has a story and value beyond its, especially when you consider how many have lasted in excellent condition for almost 2 decades. It's also worth noting that in the world of coin collecting, there are exceptions to every rule. Some special error coins like those with striking mistakes or unique variations can command significantly higher prices because they're so fascinating and unusual. Rare Australian coins like the double lyrebird or certain mint errors have been known to fetch into the thousands of dollars when verified and authenticated, showing just how exciting this hobby can be if you're lucky enough to find something. Now, if you're just getting into collecting, here are some helpful tips to guide you on your journey. First, always handle coins with clean, dry hands or use soft gloves to avoid oils that can damage surface detail. Store your coins in protective holders or albums to preserve their condition over time, because a well-cared-for coin will nearly always outperform a neglected one in terms of long-term value. Take time to educate yourself about grading. That's the process of evaluating how worn or pristine a coin is, and even consider having especially nice examples professionally graded and slabbed by a reputable service. And most importantly, enjoy the experience. Part of the joy of numismatics is the thrill of finding that one coin that makes your heart skip a beat. As we wrap up, let's celebrate what makes the 2007 Australian 10-cent coin special. It's not just a piece of metal, it's a tiny piece of history from the land down under. Whether you have one tucked away in a jar at home, or you're just curious about its story, this coin connects us to the artistry, craftsmanship, and cultural heritage of Australia. It might not be the most expensive coin in the world, but its enduring charm and the joy it brings to collectors everywhere make it priceless in its own way. Keep hunting through your change, keep learning, and most of all, keep loving coins for the stories they tell. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exciting coin collecting content. Next up, today we're diving into something super interesting for both new and seasoned coin collectors. We're talking about the Australia 2002 Australian 10-cent coin, especially those circulated coins that have developed a rust-brown toning and what they're worth in today's market. Whether you've found one in your pocket change or you're curious about collecting, this video will walk you through everything you need to know. Let's get into it. The Australian 10-cent coin is one of the most humble little coins that most of us use every day without giving a second thought. It was first introduced way back on February 14, 1966, when Australia moved to decimal currency, replacing the old shilling. Since then, the design featuring the iconic lyrebird on the reverse has remained virtually. The 2002 version was part of this long-running series, and it was struck in fairly large numbers. In fact, around 70 million of these coins were made. Now, if you come across a 2002 Australian 10-cent coin that looks darker or has a reddish-brown hue, that's often due to toning or environmental reactions over time. While some people might call this rust, coins made of don't actually rust like iron does, but they can develop rich brown toning when they've been in circulation for 2 decades or more. Circulated coins will show wear, scratches, and that mellowed color, but those characteristics also tell a story about the coin's journey through everyday life, and many collectors find that charming and collectible in its own right. Let's talk about what this coin actually is. This is a standard round, 10-cent piece with a milled edge and traditional circulation design. The obverse showcases the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, reflecting the era of minting, and the reverse highlights the beautifully detailed lyrebird, a native Australian species known for its astonishing mimicry. As mentioned, it's made from the alloy of giving it durability and that classic silver-colored finish when new. Even though the alloy doesn't technically rust, the presence of copper means that, over time, exposure to oxygen and other elements can cause surface toning. That gives a coin that rich brown patina many find aesthetically pleasing. Whether you're handling it fresh from change or seeing it in a stack of old coins, this composition has helped keep the design familiar for decades and makes the coin hardy enough to last in circulation for many years. Now, here's where things get interesting. While the 2002 10-cent coin is very common in circulation, and most examples are worth basically their face value, there is still a collector market for these coins, especially for coins that have unusual toning, attractive color, or interesting wear patterns. Collectors love coins with character. A crisp, uncirculated coin can fetch a few dollars more than face value, and certain lightly worn coins with beautiful brown toning can attract attention from buyers who want something visually unique for their albums or displays. And don't forget about error varieties. While rare on the 2002 Australian 10-cent, varieties like mistrikes or die errors can sell for significantly more on auction sites. So even though this particular date isn't rare in the traditional sense, its collector appeal is definitely alive and kicking, especially for people building sets or who love the look of aged coins. All right, let's talk numbers. What is a usual 2002 Australian 10-cent Australian coin worth today in US? Dollars? On most marketplaces and online auction sites, a circulated 2002 Australian 10-cent coin typically trades for roughly its up 90,000 to $1.30, $0 often around $0.10 to $3.05 USD, depending on condition and how the listing is presented. Uncirculated or near-mint examples can sometimes go higher, maybe in the $75,000, $1.20, zero range if they're particularly nice, but that's more about condition than the date itself. And if you do find a genuine striking or mint error, values can climb well above that range. Though those instances are rare and highly dependent on the specific variety. So for a standard brown-toned 2002 coin, expect a modest but pleasant return if you decide to sell, especially if collectors are looking for that aged patina that tells a story. If you're collecting these coins yourself, here are some helpful tips to make your hobby even more rewarding. First, always check the condition. Coins with minimal wear and clean surfaces tend to appeal more to buyers. And please don't clean them with harsh chemicals. Natural toning and patina are often more attractive than a scrubbed, artificial shine. Second, compare sold prices on auction sites, not just listing prices. That will give you the real market value. Third, consider grouping your coins by grade: circulated, lightly worn, and uncirculated, and keep them in protective holders or flips so they stay in the best possible shape. And above all, enjoy the hunt. Even common coins like this can add depth and personality to your collection over time. So there you have it. The 2002 Australian 10-cent coin in rust brown, circulated condition may not be the rarest coin in the world, but it's a fascinating piece of everyday history. With its long-running design, interesting toning possibilities, and steady collector interest, it's a coin that brings joy, whether you're a casual picker or a serious numismatist. If you've found one tucked in an old jar of coins or spotted it in your change, now you know exactly what makes it special and how to think about its value today. And hopefully that gives you even more appreciation for the tiny treasures hiding in plain sight.